Welcome to Longdo Dictionary AI Deep Dive. So have you ever, felt stuck with saying, I get it, way too much?
Oh, totally. It's so easy to fall back on those default phrases, right? Especially when you're trying to, sound more natural in English conversations.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you want to get your point across, but then, I get it, just pops out.
It's a super common thing for English learners, I think.
For sure, for sure. And the thing is, Longdo Dictionary, they're like the experts when it comes to language, right?
Sure.
They have this blog post. It's almost like a cheat sheet for how to sound more fluent.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they tackle these overused phrases like that. I get it, we were talking about, give us a bunch of new ways to say things.
I like that a lot. So what do they suggest?
Well, they actually break it down by situation, which is really interesting.
Okay.
Because, it's not always about, actually understanding a concept, right?
Right. There are different vibes.
Exactly. Sometimes it's about empathy. They have a whole section on using I get it when someone's venting, about a tough day.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Yeah. And they're saying instead of just I get it, you could try something more like, that sounds rough. I'm sorry you're going through that.
It's kind of like showing you're really listening, not just acknowledging the words, right?
Totally. It's like you get where they're coming from, And then there's that other situation when the light bulb goes off and you finally understand something.
That aha moment.
Yes. Instead of the usual I get it, they suggest saying things like, that makes perfect sense now, or, oh, I see what you mean.
I love that. It's so much more enthusiastic.
It is. And it shows you're really engaged in the conversation. You're not just passively listening.
Yeah, that's so key, especially when you're, trying to connect with someone in English. Makes you sound more confident too,
Absolutely. It's like you're leveling up your English game.
Totally. And I feel like that's where Longdo's blog post is so helpful. They're giving us the words to do that,
They've done all the hard work. They've found those perfect phrases, the alternatives to I get it, that can really instantly make your English sound better, smoother.
It's like they're giving us a map, and now we get to choose our own adventure.
Exactly. It's about finding those expressions that work for you, that feel natural to say.
And that's how you make a language your own, You go beyond the textbook and find your own voice.
I love that. So are you ready to explore some of these alternative phrases?
Oh, I'm so ready. Hit me with them.
Okay. So one that really jumped out at me was, I catch your drift. It's kind of, I don't know, casual. Maybe a little playful even.
Yeah, I catch your drift. It's got that you're in on the secret kind of vibe.
Right. It's like you're not just understanding the words, you're understanding what's between the lines too.
Totally. You're picking up on the hints, the unspoken stuff.
Which would be tricky, especially in another language, right?
Oh, tell me about it. But when you get it, when you really catch their drift, it's boom, connection made.
Exactly. Okay, another one they mentioned, I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
That one feels really good to say.
I'm on the same page. It's we're a team, we're in sync.
Yes. I see where you're coming from 100%.
Exactly. Super useful in discussions or debates when you want to make it clear you're, following along and you agree.
And it keeps the conversation flowing. No one's left behind.
Totally. Okay, ready for another one?
Hit me.
All right, this one's for when things get a little complicated. I'm following you.
Oh, that's a good one. Especially if someone's explaining something complex or giving you directions and you want to reassure them you're paying attention.
Yes. It's way better than just nodding along and hoping for the best.
Right. It shows you're actively listening, trying to keep up.
Exactly. And it shows you're not afraid to ask for clarification if you need it, which is so important.
For sure. So we've got I catch your drift for those subtle moments. I'm on the same page for when we're vibing together and I'm following you to show we're mentally on board.
I love it. We're building up our phrase arsenal here.
We are. And you know what I love about all these alternatives? They add so much more personality to your English.
Right. You go from sounding like a robot to sounding like, an actual human.
It's like you're injecting a little bit of yourself into your English,
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it sound natural, authentic.
Totally. It's not just about the words themselves. It's about how you use them, the feeling behind them.
Exactly. And Longdo, they give us another little nugget of wisdom in this post. They actually break down 5 specific situations where people tend to overuse I get it.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
So we already talked about empathy and understanding a concept, but they also talk about showing agreement after you've asked for clarification.
You mean when you're a little lost, but then it finally clicks?
That's
right. Oh, I get it now. A little too simple, maybe.
Totally. They suggest saying something more I see your point now, or That makes so much more sense now that you explain it that way.
Oh yeah, that's way better. Shows you're really trying to understand, not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Exactly. And it shows you value their explanation, which can go a long way in a conversation.
For sure, for sure. So, what's another I get it trap we should watch out for?
Let's see. Picking up on hints. This one's big.
Yeah, those subtle cues, this can be tough, especially in another language.
No kidding. It's like, are they saying what they mean or meaning what they're saying?
Right, you don't want to miss those underlying messages.
Exactly. So instead of just, I get it, Longdo suggests things like, I see what you mean, or, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I like that second one. I'm picking up what you're putting down. It feels very, intuitive, It's like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the same wavelength.
It's like you're both speaking the same secret language.
Totally. And that's what we want, right?
Yeah.
To connect on that deeper level, to really get each other, even when it's not said out loud.
Exactly. That's what makes communication so fascinating, right? It's not just about the words themselves. It's about everything else that goes into it.
It's like the unspoken language of shared understanding.
Yes. And the more you can tap into that, the more fluent you'll sound, no matter what language you're speaking.
I love that. So we've talked about a lot of alternatives to I get it today. What's the main thing you hope listeners take away from this deep dive?
I think the biggest thing is to just be aware, we all have those go-to phrases, those things we say without even thinking.
Yeah, we fall back on them. It's comfortable.
Exactly. But the more aware we are of those habits, the more we can start to break free from them and try new things.
Experiment a little.
Yes. And that's how you grow, right? You step outside your comfort zone and see what happens.
And you might be surprised at how much richer, how much more expressive your English can become.
Totally. It's like you're adding more colors to your palette,
Yeah.
More ways to express yourself, to connect with others.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's so true. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of ditching I get it, any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Let's see. I'd say don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's part of the learning process, right?
Absolutely. Embrace those little stumbles. Those are the moments that help you grow.
Totally. And have fun with it, Language is meant to be playful. It's meant to be enjoyed.
Couldn't agree more. So there you have it. Thanks to Longdo Dictionary, we've got a whole new set of tools for sounding more natural, more fluent, and more expressive in our English conversations. Now it's up to you to take these tools and make them your own. Until next time, happy learning.